New York, a state of great beauty and diversity. From Long Island's beaches to Niagara Falls, we have different personalities, assets, and challenges across this great state. For too long, state government used failed models of economic development. The old way was top-down, one size fits all. What works are bottom-up, comprehensive, sustainable models that meet the needs and know the assets of the regional economies. And nobody knows these regions better than the people who live and work there. That's why Governor Cuomo created the 10 regional councils. Their goal, real economic development.
These will be public-private sector partnerships, the focus of which is to create jobs, jobs, jobs in those regions. And let's empower the local communities to plan their future and help themselves.
Each council is made up of members from local business, academia, and nonprofits who have worked alongside state agencies. Together, the councils have embarked on a strategic planning process to identify projects and priorities that will leverage investment, attract business, and create jobs now. At first, there was skepticism, even among council members, but now the benefits of the regional approach are clear.
It's been very positive. In the beginning it was a lot of wondering how this was going to be, but now that I'm working inside we've developed a lot of relationships. In fact, every council person's opinion is valued.
The approach is even drawing praise from former President Bill Clinton, who came to Albany to address the Regional Council's statewide conference.
Andrew Cuomo just did, I think, a great thing. He organized New York into 10 regions and got the legislature to set aside some money, and the regions are competing with it to get this cash, and all of the regions have to come up with regional development plans. So I went up to Albany to meet with the thousands of people that represent these regions that are coming up with these plans. They're doing something they never had to do before. They're actually talking about what they want to do and how they're going to do it. As long as you're in the future business, you're already a winner. Because every one of you came here on behalf of people that are working hard in their businesses, people that are working hard at their jobs, people that are desperately wanting to go to work or wanting to start a new business, people that are full of good ideas, people that are full of talent.
These strategic plans will serve as 5-year roadmaps that will guide each region towards realizing its economic vision.
It is about you to make it happen. No one else can do it. Who shapes your destiny? You shape your destiny. State is a partner, yes. State providing leadership, yes. State providing incentives, yes. But it's going to be up to you.
10 regions, 10 strategic visions, 1 clear vision. New York is once again open for business.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Andrew Cuomo. Senate Majority Leader Dean Skelos. Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver. And Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy. And now, please welcome today's Master of Ceremonies and CNBC host, Maria Bartiromo.
Hi, everyone. It is so wonderful to be with you today. Good morning, particularly on such a great day when New York has come together. I'm Maria Bartiromo, anchor of CNBC's Closing Bell and the Wall Street Journal report. I'm also, more importantly, a Brooklyn native. And like all of you, I love New York. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Governor Cuomo for inviting me to be part of this momentous occasion. Thank you, Governor. It is truly an honor to be with you and in the presence of such dedicated New Yorkers. With us today is Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy, who chaired all the regional councils. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to Senate Majority Leader Dean Skelos and Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver, as well as all of their colleagues in the New York Legislature. Now, you just saw why we're here today. New York has reinvented the way we think about economic development through the Regional Economic Development Councils. It's a bottom-up approach that empowers each of the region's stakeholders to design their own plan for economic development. After 3 months of hard work, the regions have presented their roadmaps to success. In just a few minutes, you will hear from Bruce Katz, who along with 4 others served on the Strategic Plan Review Committee, Lieutenant Governor Duffy, who traveled throughout the state to attend the strategic planning meetings, Speaker Silver, Majority Leader Skelos, and finally, we'll hear from Governor Cuomo. Today, we're going to learn all about the innovative plans that New York's 10 regional economic development councils have produced to revitalize their region's economies, create jobs, and put New York as a whole back on the path to prosperity. It is clear that this competition brought out the best in each of New York's 10 regions. As you may know, I specialize in business and economic journalism. I report on the fiscal situations of countries across the world, analyze market trends, and provide insight on the complicated web that is our global economy. And make no mistake, it has become more complicated. Throughout the last few months, I've noticed that there is a lot of talk about what is happening in New York. We just heard from President Clinton. I ran into President Clinton, and he mentioned the regional councils unsolicited to me. He said, you know, what Andrew Cuomo has led is really unprecedented because at the end of the day, it's the greatest example of capitalism. All the regions competing. And even those who are not in the top threshold in terms of financial awards, they're still winners at the end of the day because they're getting grants and they've got new momentum, new revitalization, and a new will to get back to work. Many say that New York State government has had 12 transformative months, from passing an on-time budget that closed a $10 billion gap and completing one of the most celebrated legislative sessions in history to redesigning the state's economic development model. New York managed to avoid the partisan gridlock plaguing the rest of the country, and at the end of the day, got the job done. And that's what we all want. Governor Cuomo has said the governor has said that his top priority from the get-go was jobs, jobs, jobs. Today's award ceremony continues to underscore the state's strong commitment to rethinking old approaches and reworking outdated structures to foster growth and meet the challenges of a changing world. We all know the facts. We talk about it every day. We're no longer competing Buffalo versus Syracuse, Binghamton versus Albany. The competition has changed. We're competing with Brazil, China, India. New York wants to win. New York's economy is meeting those challenges head on. The New York Regional Economic Councils have proven that together with a functioning, efficient, and effective government, the people of this state can reaffirm New York's place in the global marketplace and restore its reputation as the business capital of the world. We all want that. And make no mistake, we're not guaranteed to get it. We need to go get it. Everyone around the world, from London to Moscow to Beijing, want to be the hub for business around the world. New York is that hub, and will not let that go. One of the individuals reviewing the council's proposals was Bruce Katz. Bruce is vice president at the Brookings Institute and the founder of the Metropolitan Policy Program. Please join me in welcoming Bruce Katz.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Maria, my fellow Brooklynite, for that introduction. And thank you, Governor Cuomo, for having me participate in this historic occasion. We are here, as Maria said, to celebrate the promising future of New York State. Today, New York takes an incredible step forward, employing Governor Cuomo's regional economic development councils to create jobs and grow the economy. This innovative process is based on one core insight. States are not the true economy. Rather, regions form the true economic geography, and their cities and metros, municipalities and towns determine and drive economic prosperity. We had the privilege of hearing the 10 regions present their strategic plans last week. All of the co-chairs are to be congratulated for their leadership and inspiring presentations. I had the pleasure of serving with Governor Cuomo at the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. At HUD, he launched the Empowerment Zone program, a federal program designed to bring stakeholders together behind a regionally based model for economic planning. Now he has brought that vision and made it a reality in New York, and I have no doubt your work will become a national model. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the other members of the Strategic Plan Review Committee, Dal Forsythe, the Senior Fellow at the Wagner School of Public Service at New York University, Walter Broadnax, a Professor of Public Administration at the Maxwell School at Syracuse University, Joan McDonald, Commissioner of the New York State Department of Transportation, and finally, Cesar Perales, New York State Secretary of State. I would like to tell you a little bit about the criteria we use to evaluate the strategic plans. Scoring metrics were enumerated at the very start of this process to ensure that plans would be judged on real identifiable criteria. And the review committee evaluated the proposals based on 6 categories. Vision, how realistic was the vision? Process, to what extent was the public engaged in the development of the plan? Strategies, how well did the proposed projects address the issues and opportunities identified in the plan? Implementation, how well did the plan identify necessary steps, timeframes, and allocate resources to make the plan happen? Leveraging, how well are other public, private, and nonprofit funds and investments leveraged to advance the region's top priorities? And finally, performance measures. How well can progress be tracked? All 10 councils presented visionary yet realistic economic development goals for both their regions and the state as a whole. Each member of the Strategic Review Committee was particularly impressed with the collaborative spirit in every part of this state, across sectors, across jurisdictions, across public, private, and civic institutions. This was a competitive process. Ultimately, we were tasked to select the 4 plans that performed best on those criteria, and those selected will be honored with the Best Plan awardee. The remaining 6, however, will receive funding for regional project grants. So one final point. This process is just the beginning. The regional plans created through this process and the collaborative relationships forged as a result will now be a platform for economic development going forward. As Governor Cuomo has stressed, that outcome, more than just the results of this competition, will have long-term effects on the prosperity of each of the regions and the state as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. I'm now proud to introduce Lieutenant Governor Robert Duffy, who, for the last few months, has been traveling throughout the state to attend all the Regional Council Strategic Planning meeting sessions.
Thanks, Maria. Good morning. First of all, I want to recount a story I told when I first came into office, calling a CEO out of state and asking that person if he would consider coming to New York State. I remember saying that during that conversation, that CEO laughed. And looking at what's happened in this state, going back to last January, nobody's laughing anymore. You are seeing, and you're part of, one of the biggest changes and transformations I think this state has ever seen. I first want to start by thanking Governor Cuomo for a number of things. First of all, for being the best governor in the country, for restoring pride. That is something I say with great pride, because for those of us that work on his team and those of us in this state, he has restored a sense of pride for all New Yorkers. In this process, at every meeting I reinforce this. Here's a man, this is his idea. This was not a collective idea. This was the governor's coming into office. This is what he wanted to do. And when you saw it play out, in many ways, it was ingenious, it was transformational. And what he has done in the last year in terms of trying to create economic viability for the state is nothing short of a miracle. And so I want to thank the governor for his leadership. I also want to acknowledge both Senator Skelos and Speaker Silver. And if I could, without getting into all the details, I'll defer to the governor. What the governor and our two legislative leaders have accomplished in the last few days also has created a great sense of pride. They have put New York on the map, and there's not a state in the country that's working as collaboratively as a team as this state is. I just ask you to join me in a round of applause. Next to regional councils, I want to personally thank all the co-chairs, all the members for these councils. Going back for 4 months, you have dedicated enormous amounts of time. We had 59 official meetings. I believe we probably had hundreds of other committee meetings. Nights, weekends, time away from your families, time away from your jobs, time away from your responsibilities. And in this group, we have CEOs, we have college and university presidents, we have not-for-profit leaders, elected officials, people with enormous responsibilities, people with enormous track records of success, who put their lives on hold for the last 4 months to be part of this process and to lead. You have done a phenomenal job. To see what you have done firsthand, the passion, the commitment, the energy that you have put forth, to me is the highest form of public service that anybody could put forth in this state. I think the state owes you a great debt of gratitude for your work. And as Bruce Katz said, this is the very beginning. This is the first leg of a marathon, and we have a long, long ways to go. But I want to applaud the members and all the co-chairs for all of your work. And in closing, for all the staff, what you saw at these meetings, enormous amounts of people behind the scenes. Irene Baker, a host of all the commissioners and agencies around the state, just did a tremendous job. And I want to close by saying this, to see this unfold, to see what you have accomplished. This is the very beginning. You've laid the groundwork for the future. Come January is when the real work begins. But there's no doubt, when you look back at where New York was ranked in the past few years in terms of being business friendly, Governor is leading this state to a Super Bowl championship. There's no doubt about that. I ask for your commitment. I ask for your energy to stay with us, to continue the work that you have done. You are part of history. You're part of a change process, part of a transformation. It would not have happened without you. And I think with this governor at the helm, with the legislature, the work that they have done, and with the people in this room, what you have done over the last 4 months, the future is incredibly bright. So I just want to thank you on behalf of all of us. God bless you, and good luck.
Thanks, Lieutenant Governor. It is now my pleasure to introduce Speaker of the New York State Assembly, Sheldon Silver.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Assembly Majority, a body that has advanced and invested in regional economic development for the better part of 2 decades, let me commend our governor for creating this innovative, competitive grant program. Governor, I'd say we're having a good week this week. I'd also like to welcome Maria Bartiromo. It is a pleasure to have you here in person with us today. Your presence here really underscores how important the undertakings that are taking place here are to the state of New York. We also commend all the members of our Regional Economic Development Councils for the time, the effort, and the outstanding work all of you have put into this important process. I'd also be remiss if I didn't add my personal pat on the back to our Lieutenant Governor, Bob Duffy, for his leadership in guiding the councils day in and day out to this historic moment. I've been saying for a long time now, and I know that the members of the Assembly, some of whom are here with us today, firmly share my opinion that a one-size-fits-all approach to economic development no longer makes sense. Sitting in a boardroom somewhere in Fifth Avenue in Manhattan and making decisions around the state no longer makes sense. We need job growth plans that are tailored to fit each region's resources and competitive advantages. Most important of all, we need to put the strategic decision-making in the hands of those leaders who must clearly understand what each region needs to spur economic growth, and that is all of you out there. While we congratulate the winners, the fact is that all of you have performed a great service by establishing a blueprint for future prosperity that we hope will be built upon and fine-tuned for generations to come. On behalf of the New York State Assembly, we look forward to the governor in the next budget incorporating another round of competitive grants so that the work of those who didn't win today will be reviewed again in future budget years and perhaps have the opportunity to reapply and be winners of the future. As I said a year ago, when it comes to the all-important mission of creating jobs, we finally have what we have needed for so long: strong, visionary leadership from Governor Andrew Cuomo and his Lieutenant Governor, Bob Duffy. So congratulations on completing this year's competition, and speaking for all New Yorkers, let me close by saying, keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker Silver. I'd like to now introduce you to Majority Leader of the New York State Senate, Dean Skelos.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank you for joining us. As the Speaker mentioned, it's great to see you in person. I gave my communications director, Kelly Cummings, my iPhone because I didn't want to watch what was happening with the market. But yesterday, Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy, 59 meetings, I understand, you went to. So we all should thank him for his stamina. Yesterday, the governor and the legislature took an enormous step to revitalize our economy by eliminating job-killing taxes like the MTA payroll tax, cutting taxes for manufacturers, and helping businesses create new jobs. Less than 24 hours later, we are taking another giant step here today. The governor had stayed focused on the economy and job creation, and we must all continue to work and create more jobs as we go forward into 2012. So, Governor, we thank you for that focus. The governor's regional economic development councils were a great way to bring communities together. Leaders from government, labor, higher education, and the business communities work together to improve the future of these regions. All of the councils came up with very strong and innovative proposals. They took a very close look at what their regions have to offer, and they presented proposals to build on their strengths and take advantage of opportunities for growth and job creation that exist in their regions. It shows the tremendous diversity of our state and our economy. I look forward to hearing the governor's announcement, and certainly when the governor suggested earlier to the speaker and myself that we should continue funding for other regional council presentations, there was agreement immediately, because I think we all understand, the speaker, myself, the governor, our respective conferences, the good work that has come out of these regional councils and the fact that we have to continue in that direction. So, Governor, I thank you for your vision, I thank you for your focus, and I congratulate all of you for participating in this innovative and historic event. Thank you very much.
You know, I've got to tell you, one of the things that I love about the plan that we're going to watch today and all of the different regional plans is that we are tapping into what's great about New York: tourism, energy, infrastructure, internationalism. You'll see what I mean in a moment, but we're getting back to basics by tapping into what's great about what we love, New York. Now I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce the man responsible for spearheading some of New York's recent accomplishments, our leader, Governor Andrew Cuomo. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very, very much. First, to Maria Bartiromo. What a treat to have Maria here, huh? Isn't it? Give a great New York welcome. With her busy schedule and her demands, she's all over the globe, literally. And for her to be with us today really does underscore and put an exclamation point in how important and profound today's ceremony is. So, Maria, thank you very, very much. To my colleagues in government, Lieutenant Governor Bob Duffy, 59 meetings. That's why I didn't want to be Lieutenant Governor. God bless him for all the good work. To the legislative leaders, Senator Dean Skelos and Speaker Sheldon Silver. We completed an extraordinary session yesterday. That's the legal term for the governor calling back the legislature is an extraordinary session, but more than a legal definition, it was an apt definition. It was an extraordinary session. Their accomplishments are profound. Their accomplishments come at a time when this state and this nation are reeling from an economic downturn with very little progress. They passed a new package of job creation that I believe will create tens of thousands of jobs over the coming years, and a tax plan that is going to stimulate this economy with where the middle class is going to pay the lowest tax rate in 58 years. And as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, it really did cap off in some ways a great year. It was an extraordinary session yesterday, but the first legislative session was also extraordinary. We did exactly what we said we were going to do. We said we were going to balance the budget, we were going to get it done on time, and we did. We were going to pass ethics reform, we were going to pass a property tax cap, and we did. We said we were going to come together and work in a bipartisan way, and we did. I want to say on a personal note, give them a round of applause. They really did exemplify what government is supposed to be and how it's supposed to work. Put the politics aside, forget Democrat, forget Republican, we are New Yorkers first, come together for the people of the state, make the government work, achieve progress, and that is just what they did. and for their kindness to a rookie governor in his first year, I thank you very much. Dean Skelos and Sheldon Silver. To all the members of the Regional Council for really extraordinary work. Let's give each other a round of applause for all your great work. Now, I know why you're here. I know what you want to know. And I know you don't need to hear from me. It's usually about love or money, and today it's not about love. Let me just make this one point to highlight what has been said, because the previous speakers really did cover the terrain, and I know you want to get to the meat of the situation for today. When I was about 35 years old, I decided I needed to spread my wings. I was a lifelong New Yorker, and at 35 I said, well, maybe I should broaden my horizons. So I left New York, and I went to Washington, D.C. Some people go to France, some people go to California. I went to Washington. I had to be able to come back every weekend for my mother's cooking, so I couldn't really go that far. But I joined the Clinton administration. I was in Housing and Urban Development with Bruce Katz. And HUD, which most people don't know, did a very large amount of economic development work. So over the next 8 years, I wound up working in every state in the nation literally on economic development. And we were one of the largest funders of economic development projects. And it was an eye-opener. And I saw New York and New York's stance in economic development from a totally different point of view. And I would be out there and I would be talking to business leaders all across the country, and I would bring up New York. And I would say, you know, did you ever think of going to New York? And it's the reaction the lieutenant governor got from the CEO back in January. It was almost a foolish suggestion that a business would consider going to New York. And they would smile. I worked with the other governments, and it was so stark, the different approach that the other governments had. They knew about public-private sectors partnerships working together. 20 years ago, they had been doing it. The governments were much more efficient and effective at economic development. The governors were like the head of the Chamber of Commerce. It was all about bringing businesses back to their state, and New York didn't get it. We just didn't get it. There was almost an old hangover New York arrogance, where we just assumed business was going to be here. Why? Because at one time business was here. We were the economic capital. We did start it all. But we learned the hard way that businesses are not cemented into the foundation. They are now more mobile than ever before. They can leave. They will leave. And it is a day-to-day battle to keep and to attract and to solicit and to grow. And you have to be doing it every day, and it is a competition in the truest sense of the word. We're competing with every other state, and now we're competing with cities all across the globe. That's what I learned in Washington. Two basic approaches and two strategies that we're following. First, there is a macro strategy. Change the perception of the state. How do you change the perception of the state? Change the reality of the state. Make it a pro-business, business-friendly state. Change the sign, put up the sign, New York open for business. We know what you thought about us, and it's not true. And just watch us. And watch us put together a budget for the state of New York that is fiscally responsible. Watch us change the culture and the orientation of the agencies, where we're no longer roadblocks, we're facilitators, trying to find out how to bring jobs, how to bring business, how do we locate, how do we expedite the approval process, how do we welcome you to New York, how do we make ourselves business friendly, how do we have a regulatory structure that actually stimulates growth and doesn't retard growth. New York open for business. That's what we did all through this year. Those are what the legislative actions are all about. That's what yesterday was all about. And the extraordinary session, using the tax code to stimulate creating jobs. That's the first track. The second track is just what Bruce Katz said. The acknowledgement and the recognition that the state can set the stage, but there is no single New York State economy. There isn't. There's a Long Island economy. There's a Western New York economy. There's a North Country economy. They're all on the same framework because they're all within the state's boundaries. So state policies affect all regions, but the growth is going to come from a regional development strategy. And the best thing the state can do is stimulate the regional and partner with the regional development strategies. And then you have to put the pieces together on a regional basis. Because the speaker's exactly right. You know better what your assets are. You know your strengths. You know your market niche. If you come together and you cooperate, and we stimulate, and we invest, and we partner, that's the framework and the partnership that's actually going to make a difference. And that's what we've been pursuing for 11 months every day. Changing the attitude and the orientation of the state by changing the reality, and then helping develop regional partnerships. Now, this has worked extraordinarily well. And it sounds like a cliche, but the judges were truly stymied and had a very, very difficult decision because the applications were so good. Bruce and I were kidding when we did this on the federal side. Some areas never got to the application because look at what we were asking. We were saying put people together in the region, put people together in the region who normally compete, put different political parties together, put the public sector and the private sector together. And very often that just doesn't work. People don't coalesce. People don't come together. And they never come up with an end product. Here we had the exact opposite result. Every plan was really, really a great piece of work and a great effort. And that's why I am so happy that the legislative leaders have agreed to fund a second round for next year on a second competition because this is working. And I'll tell you, I've done a lot of work with these gentlemen. I never had as short a conversation to get anything done as the conversation we just had backstage to authorize a second round of funding. 3 minutes. My last point is this, and Maria alluded to this. The other lesson I learned in those 8 years that I was in Washington and all across the country is first, I really, really do miss my mother's cooking. And second, I saw everything else that is out there. I've seen the best that this country has to offer. I've seen everybody's strategies and everybody's assets and everybody's plans for the future. Nobody has what we have here in New York. Nobody. Nobody has the strengths and the assets that we have here as a state. Nobody has the diversity. Nobody has the geography. Nobody has the history. Nobody has the workforce. Nobody has the healthcare institutions. Nobody has the higher ed institutions. Nobody else has a SUNY system that we have. Nobody does. We have a beauty, a depth that no other state has. Whatever they have, we have here in one beautiful set of boundaries. From the Adirondacks in the North Country, we have the beaches, we have the best financial system, we have everything. The one thing we haven't had is a government as good as the people of the state, and that's what's changing, and that's what's changing this year. Thank you, and God bless you, and good luck to all of you.
You know, as a business reporter, I'm constantly reporting on gloom and doom. I want to tell the leadership up on this stage something. You've done a lot with these plans that we're going to see in a moment. But what you've done, most importantly, Governor Cuomo, is inspire confidence. You have inspired confidence in this government and in New York State. Thank you for that very much. So now to the nuts and bolts. We'll see how we are going to get back to work. The Regional Economic Development Awards are a combination of strategic planning funds and bond caps. As Bruce mentioned, 4 of these proposals will be honored with a Best Plan Award. I'll be presenting the awards region by region, going from west to east. We'll get to the chance to learn about the proposals that each of these councils have spent the last 3 months working hard on. Let's start the awards with Western New York. The Western New York Regional Economic Development Council consisted of stakeholders from Allegheny, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, Erie, and Niagara counties. Here's a snapshot of Western New York's plan, Path to Prosperity.
In Western New York, they are asking 2 very simple questions. Can it move the needle in creating jobs and long-term prosperity? And can we get it done? For each and every item in the Western New York Regional Economic Development Council's Path to Prosperity, the answers are yes. And it is the bottom-up approach that has made all the difference. If any region exemplifies the need for a new approach to economic development, it is Western New York. Problems in the region are real and well known, but not insurmountable. The 20 projects proposed by the Council will create jobs through a series of transformative investments. The Buffalo Central Business Project encompasses many of the plan's themes. It creates a regional downtown hub for business, culture, entertainment, government, and education that strategically connects the downtown districts through investment in streetscapes and infrastructure.
Thousands of hours of input have gone into this plan from experts from all of the sectors of our economy that will need to grow if we're going to succeed.
The Western New York Regional Council's strategic plan is the result of thousands of hours of work by a team dedicated to a brighter and sustainable future. It included input from a broad spectrum of regional stakeholders. With its strategic border location, unique assets, and strong plan on how to move forward, Western New York is ready to turn the corner and choose its own path to prosperity.
Western New York is a Best Plan awardee with $100.3 million. I'd like to invite the council co-chairs, Howard Zemsky and Dr. Satish Tripathi, and the Western New York State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Next up, the Southern Tier, which encompasses the counties of Broome, Chemung, Shenango, Delaware, Schuyler, Steuben, Tioga, and Tompkins. Here's their plan.
These are the recent images most New Yorkers remember about the state's Southern Tier region. Communities, businesses, and homes devastated by the raging floods caused by this summer's storms. These are the images the Southern Tier's Regional Economic Development Council wants you to remember, ones of recovery, economic growth, and uniquely thriving downtowns. So now their #1 priority project embraces the opportunity brought by the natural disaster.
It's kind of a marriage of community revitalization because of the devastation of the flooding with downtown redevelopment.
But it's not just about recovery. The council strategy is all about economic growth. Their plan capitalizes on the already existing strong manufacturing and higher educational base led by Cornell and Binghamton universities and Corning Enterprises, which was recently heralded by President Clinton for its support of the region.
But the best example in New York is probably Corning Glass, which has its own labs and a big support system, and has kept jobs in New York through thick and thin, even though it's a global company.
Overall, the Council's plan hopes to start 150 new businesses, create thousands of new jobs, and generate $650 million in private investments. Targeted in their strategy is an initiative to grow businesses focused on energy efficiency and renewable energy technology. So what does Council co-chair David Skorton think the plan's one critical element should be?
I think it's going to be people, people, people that'll pull the state up from where it is right now.
The Southern Tier will receive $49.4 million for their regional projects. And I'd like to invite the Council co-chairs, Dr. David Skorton and Tom Tranter, and the Southern Tier State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Next up, the Finger Lakes region, which includes Genesee, Livingston, Monroe, Ontario, Orleans, Seneca, Wayne, Wyoming, and Yates counties, each with its own unique economic strengths and challenges. Let's take a look at the proposal.
For generations, New York's Finger Lakes region has been known for its unique scenic beauty and its top-shelf vineyards, and as home to corporate giants such as Kodak and Xerox. But as the economic landscape changed and thousands of jobs were lost, the Finger Lakes region was pushed into a state of transformation. Although successfully realigning the workforce, half of all private sector jobs are now in higher education and healthcare. The goal of the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council is to accelerate the transformation.
Though the last few years have been challenging, our region has found a way to grow. We do have a proven track record.
And the number one priority for that strategic plan is the expansion of the Eastman Business Park, with the hopes of generating thousands of new energy-related jobs. Planned for the park is a project aimed at developing the next generation of fuel cells. Led by NY Best Commercialization Center, it will involve more than 80 companies that will drive economic growth through entrepreneurship and innovation.
It is the ultimate industrial park in the state, and our challenge is to take it when the future of Kodak is uncertain and to transform it into a 21st century industrial hub.
The Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council has set lofty but attainable goals for their transformation. As co-chair Joel Seligman said, it's like pouring new wine into an old bottle.
The Finger Lakes will receive $68.8 million for their regional projects. I'd like to invite the council co-chair, Joel Seligman and the Finger Lakes State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Congratulations. On to Central New York. including the counties of Cayuga, Cortland, Madison, Onondaga, and Oswego. This is how Central New York plans to get New York back to business.
Instead of focusing on mega projects, the Central New York Regional Economic Council's plan focuses on 30 smaller priority projects that will create scores of new jobs while meeting 3 important goals. First goal is to revitalize the region's urban cores, main streets, and neighborhoods by reinvigorating their communities.
What we saw actually was that everybody has a neighborhood. Everybody has the equivalent of a main street. Now, it may not be an actual main street that needs revitalization, but everybody has the equivalent of a core. And so we were able to really bring, I think, the municipalities really together in that sense, rural to urban.
Their second goal looks to strengthen targeted industries and businesses. In the clean energy field, Seaspeed and Liverpool would get $6 million to expand their windmill-related business. And finally, the council focused on improving competitiveness in the regional, national, and global economies by encouraging entrepreneurship, product development, and most importantly, by maximizing and retaining human capital, a highly educated and motivated workforce.
At the end of the day, we want to increase economic opportunity for people. They need to have the opportunity to have the quality of life they want. That was the charge as we saw it, and it was it was something that we we were really just thrilled to be able to put forward a strategy that we think really enhances those opportunities, not only for students but business, for our institutions, and for our communities right here in Central New York.
Central New York is a Best Plan awardee. $103.7 million. I'd like to invite the council co-chair, Rob Simpson, and the Central New York State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Next up, Mohawk Valley Council, whose members are from Fulton, Herkimer, Montgomery, Oneida, Otsego, and Schoharie counties. Let's see what they included in their presentation.
By capitalizing on the beauty of the Mohawk Valley, its inviting green lifestyle, its historic entrepreneurial spirit, the Mohawk Valley Regional Economic Development Council says its plan will chart a new course for the region's growth.
This area is ready for this type of investment, whether it's our geographic area, what's available, space, the workforce, the quality of the workforce, quality education in the community. The area is really ready for that to happen.
To achieve their goals, the Mohawk Valley Council has identified 13 projects that will be financed by nearly $500 million in total investments. The Council's plan also focuses on creating new partnerships with the region's large population of higher education centers, helping to build a skilled workforce for 21st century jobs, and giving young New Yorkers a real path to making their future here in our state.
The preparation and workforce development is necessary, and where we need to provide our Mohawk Valley residents, and we want to educate them, we're going to train them, we're going to develop that workforce, then they're going to be jobs, so they're going to stay. So we're going to import and we're going to retain our workforce, and we're going to export the goods to other states.
Mohawk Valley will receive $60.2 million for their regional projects. And I'd like to invite the council co-chair, Dr. Wolf Ye and Lawrence Gilroy III, and the Mohawk Valley State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Heading up to the North Country, which is our largest region and includes council members from Clinton, Essex, Franklin, Hamilton, Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties. Here's a look at the proposal.
Home to the unparalleled beauty of the Adirondack State Park, the North Country spans from Lake Ontario to Lake Champlain and is nearly twice as large as the other regions in the state.
We started sitting around a table in August as areas really coming together and being called a region for the first time, but we have created that platform. It shows in our plan, it shows in the commitment, and that is going to be powerful for us going forward, again, on advocacy and things where we're going to start supporting each other to punch above our weight even more than we have been able to in the past, so we're a success on that score as well.
The North Country Regional Council strategic plan would create or retain hundreds of jobs and lead to hundreds of millions of dollars in capital investments. Tourism, agriculture, and small businesses would all stand to gain from the plan, as would the development or expansion of strategic clusters, such as defense near Fort Drum, aerospace and transportation equipment in Plattsburgh, advanced materials and manufacturing around Potsdam, and biotech and health in Saranac Lake. The lack of modern must-haves for businesses, especially broadband internet, were major concerns.
We're at that point where we do need to make broadband ubiquitous. We need to get people to adopt. We need to teach them how to use it.
New York's economic renaissance depends as much on the vibrancy of its small cities and rural communities as it does on its large cities. And that's why the trail to New York's prosperity begins right here in the North Country.
The North Country is a Best Plan awardee, $103.2 million. I'd like to invite the council co-chairs, Gary Douglas and Dr. Tony Collins, and the North Country State Legislative Delegation to the stage.
Anybody want this? Great job for the North Country.
Now on to the Capital Region. This includes the counties of Albany, Columbia, Greene, Rensselaer, Saratoga, Schenectady, Warren, and Washington. This is how they plan to push their region into the 21st century.
Success today, opportunity tomorrow is the title and credo of the Capital Region Economic Development Council's strategic plan. And according to Council co-chair Michael Castellana, it's a roadmap that's going to be followed.
This plan was by the people of the Capital Region, for the people of the Capital Region, and we're going to carry it out, and I'm very excited about it.
Success today means maximizing the region's existing strengths, especially in high-tech industry and research.
Our region already is known for technological innovation in the very fields that have been identified as critical to our century: nanotechnology, high-performance computing, green technology, biotechnology.
Opportunities of tomorrow include bringing cities back to life with projects like redeveloping Rensselaer's waterfront and Troy's downtown. And the Council wants to expand opportunities to celebrate the Capital Region's surroundings and draw more people to the area with projects such as upgrading the facilities at the Wyndham Ski Resort. The Economic Development Council's plan is anchored by a vision of a Capital Region economic ecosystem, with the private sector, academia, and the government working together. The implementation of its strategic plan will mean the area is well positioned for sustained economic development that will reach beyond its borders to the rest of the state, the nation, and the world.
The Capital Region will receive $62.7 million for their regional projects, and I'd like to invite the Council co-chairs, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson and Michael Castellana, and the Capital Region State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Heading further south, the Mid-Hudson region is comprised of stakeholders from Dutchess, Orange, Putnam, Rockland, Sullivan, Ulster, and Westchester counties. Let's take a look at their plan.
The Mid-Hudson Regional Council is tapping into its region's assets. With over 30 colleges and universities, it has a highly educated workforce. Its scenic beauty encourages a high quality of life, and its close proximity to New York City makes it the geographic link between upstate and downstate New York. The Council is looking to generate high-paying jobs and attract world-class scientists by building a biotech incubator at New York Medical College, all in hopes of making the region a worldwide leader in biotechnology.
This opportunity at New York Medical College provides that opportunity to give space to new scientists, to get them the equipment that they need, and to really emerge new businesses which can then grow and be the next Regenerons and employers in New York State.
The Mid-Hudson Council also has a slate of transformative projects that will create new businesses and new jobs and improve the region's infrastructure. Topping the list, the construction of a new Tappan Zee Bridge, upgrades to Stewart International Airport, and enhancing the quality of life by investing in downtown and waterfront communities. The strategic plan for the Mid-Hudson region recognizes the diversity of the region, the skills of its citizens, and the high quality of life, all important assets for future economic development.
It's really the best of both worlds, and that's why we think we're going to be the economic engine for New York State for this next 5-year period.
The Mid-Hudson Valley will receive $67 million for their regional projects, and I'd like to invite the Council co-chairs, Dr. Dennis Murray and Dr. Leonard Schleifer, and the Mid-Hudson Valley State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Up next, my home region, no bias here, New York. New York City with the Bronx, Kings, New York, Queens, and Richmond counties. Here's what the New York City Council has been up to.
New York City is the business and financial capital of the world, its skyline known the world over. It's the nation's preeminent global center of commerce, culture, and innovation, and the #1 tourist destination. It is also the economic engine of New York State, with its employers generating half the state's economic output and almost half of all state tax revenues. So why does such a robust economy need state support for economic development?
So we have enormous indices of poverty and 1.6 million people living beyond the poverty line.
New York City's priority projects each accelerate economic growth and job creation by building on the city's many strengths, while ensuring that economically distressed communities and populations have greater opportunities. A few of these projects include redeveloping the Bronx Hunts Point produce market, an investment and a major jobs generator for New York State's poorest region, the Bronx. Redeveloping Hunts Point protects over 1,000 jobs and preserves a critical food distribution center that serves thousands of small and minority-owned markets and supports our state's agribusiness. The proposed projects encompass all of the city's 5 boroughs while supporting the economic needs of the entire state, and it continues New York City's legacy as a center of opportunity for all.
New York City will receive $66.2 million for the regional projects, and I'd like to invite the council co-chair, Chancellor Matthew Goldstein, to the stage to accept the award. And last, but certainly not least, Long Island, comprised of Nassau and Suffolk counties. Let's take one final look at this plan.
With 13 game-changing projects, the Long Island Regional Economic Development Council's plan would be a major job creator for Nassau and Suffolk counties over the next 5 to 10 years. The council used the strategic planning process to strengthen existing industries and to help transform depressed areas of Long Island into centers of job creation and revitalization. Communities targeted for new infrastructure and mixed-use facilities include Wyandanch and the village of Hempstead. Significant investment would be made in establishing a Ronkonkoma-MacArthur Transit Hub, as well as in commercial and residential projects in Brentwood, the largest Hispanic community in the state outside of New York City.
There are 4 projects we want to discuss. Most of them are located in poor minority communities that have suffered from disinvestment. They are all transit-oriented, smart growth projects with affordable housing components to help keep our young folks from leaving.
Hofstra and Stony Brook would work together to increase the number of engineering students, and a STEM workforce innovation network would help build a high-tech workforce. This level of collaboration between research institutions is vastly different from the past.
I mean, traditionally we all compete with each other. You know, we want this grant, you want that grant, you know, we're better than you. And we decided we'd do it ourselves, and that's how it started.
The Long Island Regional Economic Development Council's goal is a sustainable, innovative, and interconnected job-generating economy that redevelops depressed areas and mobilizes the entire region for years to come.
Long Island is a Best Plan awardee, $101.6 million. I'd like to invite the council co-chairs, Stuart Rabinowitz and Kevin Law, and the Long Island State Legislative Delegation to the stage to accept the award. Congratulations to all the Regional Economic Council members. Today, 720 of your projects from all across the state were awarded $785.5 million in economic development funds. Thank you for your tireless work, your dedication to your communities and to New York State. I'd also like to thank Garrick Utley for use of his voice in the videos. That concludes our program today. Thank you to all the Regional Council members and legislators for joining us today. I know we all look forward to getting back to work.
One last, please.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciate it.
Let's give a big round of applause to Maria for being the master of ceremonies today for us. We'll see you all for the second round. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Good job. Great.
Thank you so much for having me.